My name is Connie Cassidy. My grandparents were Stalmukes and Barniskis, and they all came directly from Lithuania prior to 1915, because my father was born here in 1915 and his younger brother after that. But they did have two sons that they brought directly from Lithuania.
And so where did Lithuanians work here in Rumford, Maine?
My grandfather worked at the bag mill, and my grandmother was a housekeeper. And on the other side, they were farmers in West Peru.
So we are now standing in the Lithuanian cemetery near Rumford in Mexico, Maine.
Yes.
How was this cemetery established?
It was established by John Viscount in 1920.
What other Lithuanian institutions were there in Rumford?
The old St. Rocco Hall that they used to use to socialize, and they had small apartments over it, and it's no longer in business now.
And so when did it close?
About 1960. When I was very young, yes, I remember going there to some social event that they had there.
First, I'll say Labas. And as far as establishing our new club, started about 11 years ago. The Rumford and Mexico Historical Societies wanted to kind of regenerate the different ethnic groups in town, and they had Lithuanian, Italian, Scotch, Irish, French. But the Lithuanians started out, and we had a dinner for the public in a hall in Mexico. And we all made our kugla and drezda and the krustis and, ausikis and whatever. And many people came, and they enjoyed it so much, and we made recordings of different people, Lithuanian people at that time. And there is a DVD out on it, a video, I guess. But it was so successful, and we had so much fun, and we all were so interested in our history that we decided to continue. And this past September, we celebrated our 11th anniversary. And we have it at a lovely ski area here in town in September. And we get well over 100 people that come and enjoy the day. And we really have enjoyed meeting each other's families and our ancestors and the connection with Lithuania. And we've tried to learn some of the language because many of us forgot the language, unfortunately. But my grandparents on both sides did come from Lithuania. One came from Žemaitienė and the other from Aistė. So, but they escaped from the Russian domination about the turn of the century. My grandfather came here to work in the mills, earn money, sent for my grandmother and two children. They both were smuggled out of the country and did come to this country through Ellis Island, found their way to Rumford, Maine, and Grandpa worked in the paper mills. And my grandmother was a stay-at-home mother with 6 children, and she also took in boarders from the workers at the mill. And it was really a booming town, so there was a lot of people coming in. They worked very hard and ultimately were successful in earning enough money to build 2 apartment houses in Rumford. And as I say, their children went on to college and to do very well. And my mother was, of course, one of them.
And so when we were talking there, you told several funny stories about asking coffee.
You want me to tell you that?
Yeah, can you tell them?
Yeah. Well, when I was small, I grew up with my grandmother for about 12 years. And would wake up early in the morning to go to school, and we'd go and sit in front of the wood stove to get warm. And I'd say, Baba, aš noriu kavos. And she'd look at me and say, Kap numirs pa kavos. So we had an exchange on the words. And so we used to laugh about that. And then, should I tell you about the other one? Okay, my profession, when I grew up and went to college, I was a medical laboratory technician. So I used to go and take blood samples, from patients at the local hospital. Many were Lithuanians, and of course they didn't know the English language that well. And being in the hospital was very intimidating for them. So they'd call me to go up and they'd say, oh, there's a Lithuanian patient up here, would you go up? And I said, okay. So I'd go up and get ready to take a blood sample. And some little old lady, she was so frightened, so I went over and I said, Aš turiu imti biškį kiaulę. And she looked at me so strangely, and I said, oh, I'm sorry. Aš turiu imti biškį kraują. So we laughed, and it broke the ice.